adventure, sports, outdoors. With host Harry Canterbury.
There I was, back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. Yeah.
Hi, Harry Canterbury with another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. Join us today down here in Florida as we go to a gun show. We're going to talk to Brent Manning from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. We're going to see Mr. Fish down at Kelleher's. He's going to tell you how to get ready for this upcoming ice fishing season. So stay tuned today for a great show.
Adventure Sports Outdoors is brought to you in part by Corsall Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. Eastport Marina, one of the only marinas in its class between Chicago and St. Louis, on Mariners Way in East Peoria. And by Goodwill of Central Illinois, free employment and veteran and youth services made possible because you donate. Our thanks to all of these sponsors. In Port Charlotte, Florida, Harry decided to pay a visit to a local gun show that was going on that day.
I'm Anthony Evangelist with American Edge Custom Knives out of Clearwater, Florida. Out here at Two Guys Gun Show in Port Charlotte with a display of my handmade knives. So we got, this is one of my field knives I make. It's a desert ironwood handle with mosaic pin, all hammer forged. I start with 1095 hard carbon round bar and hammer them out. Got a G10 fiberglass liner in there to give it a little extra appeal. And then handmade custom sheaths. I hand tool them. You see we got all those stars in there. It's all 9-10 weight leather. I hand make them all.
Hi, I'm Gene. I'm a Navy vet, and I custom make pins, all different styles and varieties. It gives me something to do, and I enjoy talking with the vets. But they're made out of all types of different materials and all types of themes. Skeletons. This is one of my favorites and best sellers. It's a lever action rifle pin.
Well, my name is Joe, formerly from Connecticut. I'm living down here in Cape Coral now permanently. And I brought my business from north down here. I sell 37 millimeter launchers. Some that you can put onto your gun, some that you can shoot from the shoulder.
Hi, I'm Dale Wezek. I'm currently living in Florida. Moved here 5 years ago from Colorado. And this gun that I have here is what they now call they call this a blanket gun. They call it a blanket gun because this gun was probably at least a foot longer, and mountain men out trapping in the fur trade would cut them off so that they could use them for defense when they were camped out and laying in their blanket. It used to be a flintlock, and they would convert them. I guess they had to have the newest fangled thing. They converted them to cap locks, and I don't know why. You had a lot of flint laying around in the mountains. You had no caps, so if you didn't have any caps and you ran out, you didn't have a gun anymore. It's a 70 caliber, it's a smooth bore, and it will also take a ball, a 70 caliber ball. During the French and Indian War, a gun like this that would be used for in the warfare, they would put a buck and ball load in there. The buck and ball load would consist of about 6 caliber balls with a great big 70 caliber ball on top, and they would just spray and pray, I guess.
Well, my name's John Knight, and I've been asked to tell you something about a carbine. This particular carbine was made in 1886 and had a very interesting story. It would have been used in the Indian Wars up until 1890. Its next big need would have occurred in 1898 with the Spanish-American War. Thereafter, the Philippine insurrection. But a particularly interesting part of this one, if you can look very closely at the back, you'll see a D32 on a brass plate. This is a rack number, not from a museum, but when we lifted the two nails and lifted this away, on the back it said Cincy. And this is from the Cincinnati Workhouse as part of our prison systems in Ohio. I travel back and forth between Florida and Ohio each year. I guess I'm a snowbird. I spend 7.5 months here and 4.5 months up on Lake Erie, just east of Cedar Point, for those who are familiar with our amusement park. Well, now we're going to take a look at a McKeever. This is the cartridge box that each of the soldiers was issued starting in 1873. He'd have 20 rounds of ammunition on his belt at his side. And one of the rounds coming out of here looks like this, and that's called a 4570. It's a 45 caliber, meaning the diameter of the bullet, and it has 70 grains of black powder behind it. And that would have been used by the soldier at the time to fire. These rifles, carbines in this case, only fire one round at a time.
Welcome to another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. Of course, we're in Florida for the year. We've been doing it for the last 4 years, and we get a number of guests that come down and visit us, and we're really happy about that because it's nice to be in touch with your friends and family from Illinois. Illinois is my home state. My family's been there since about 1812, so I've got some deep roots there. But I'm here with a very good friend of mine, Brent Manning, the past director of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And I told him while he was here that I'd like to put him on the show and talk about the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, where they've been and where they're going. At one time, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources had one of the best agencies in the United States. It was run by this guy, and he did a good job, and I think a lot of you people know that. But let's talk about your life, how you were with Ducks Unlimited for a number of years and eventually went to the state of Illinois.
Yes, Harry, I went initially to the Illinois Department of Conservation, and then the governor determined that it would be better and more efficient to have an Illinois Department of Natural Resources. Obviously, the change has benefited the state of Illinois as well as the agency, and I'll use examples: the Illinois Natural History Survey, the Illinois Water Survey, Geological Survey, the Archaeological Survey. Those research arms of the University of Illinois at one time were part of the agency, and they were absolutely tremendous addition.
So this was a consolidation of all
Yes.
these agencies that had a common denominator, and instead of, it's like the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, and every other
Right.
law enforcement agency now, because of 9/11, of course, was one of the reasons that has all changed. But you solidified all these under one umbrella.
Yes, we did solidify them all under one umbrella, and different management styles require different things. So some of that has changed since we were there, but I will say during the period of time we were there, working with those agencies and other portions of those agencies was certainly a benefit, an economic benefit, a psychological benefit, and a scientific benefit.
Well, one thing I want to address and speak about, which I thought was one of your monumental deals, and that is in the state of Illinois, when I was going down there quite a bit with the TV show and the magazine, sometimes I'd have to go to 6 different buildings and you get lost, you don't know where you're going. But you took how many buildings and put them under one roof?
Well, first off, like to take credit for all of that, but it wasn't just me.
No, but you initiated the.
Well, we initiated contact. We did some very simple mathematics. We were under 12 separate roofs in the city of Springfield. And we added up annually what all of our rent that we paid amounted to, and determined that if in fact we did it properly and we built our own building which could handle all those agencies and all those remote locations, we would actually save the state money, and after 16 years
It'd be paid for.
It'd be paid for.
And it is paid for today.
Well, unfortunately, after Governor Edgar, I don't think Mr. Blagojevich had the same economic, how do I say
Foresight.
this? Foresight. Testicular fortitude is is the word that he used.
Right.
And unfortunately, that went away.
I have to ask you this question because you were there 12 years, and you are the longest serving director of that agency in Illinois, and it goes back quite a few years. But I'm going to ask you two questions. And one, what do you think was your biggest accomplishment while you were there those 12 years? And I know it's a big question, but there's something that's got to stand out in your mind that really makes you proud to, have accomplished that. What out of everything that you did there, and you did many great things, where do you feel that, you left a legacy?
Well, and I say this very sincerely, I feel as my legacy was that of a gatekeeper, that I allowed people to do their jobs and do them effectively. The new building for the Department of Natural Resources.
That should be a big feather in your hat. I mean, I went down there. There was 12 different buildings, and they were all over town. And somebody, and I know the people that were getting the money, some of the, people that owned it, and they were, they were doing pretty well,
I would love to say that was all my idea, but it wasn't. I mean, I talked to my staff, and they said, we need to be in one building.
Yeah, but you had the spare and you went.
Again, I helped facilitate.
Right.
The CREP program along the Illinois-Mississippi rivers, it was absolutely phenomenal in success.
Did you see a lot of change? Did it do what you thought it would, or did it fall short?
The CREP program, when we were in office, did exactly what it should have been doing for years. For every dollar the state of Illinois put into the CREP program, the feds matched it 10 to 1. And for farmers who were continuing to farm those quote-unquote marginal areas,
right.
marginal farm ground, it was a godsend. I had farmers that were in tears that when I talked to them and say, I get to keep the family farm, and these areas go for what they were originally intended for,
or whatever.
Should have gone for years, and because it worked so well, and I really enjoyed my conversations then with the Army Corps of Engineers, with a number of other folks, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, the EPA, and all of them. We came together with what was called the Illinois River Vision, the Illinois River 2020 plan, which the Lieutenant Governor got involved with and then shared. But that plan essentially proved that it was cheaper. It was absolutely cheaper to keep soil on the uplands than it was to dredge it out of the bottom of the rivers.
Right.
And through the CREP program, we were able to do that.
So that's you feel very good about getting involved in that.
Absolutely wonderful about that.
Brent, something that has been discussed for a long time, and that is a different way to not make it a political agency, and that is called what?
Harry, that's really a wonderful question. And the fact is, I had the opportunity, as I mentioned before, I had the honor actually of being selected as the president of the International Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. That gave me the chance to look around nationwide at the various forms of governance for their IDNRs, for their departments of conservation, and there are some ways that it is done which is spectacular. Most of those, or maybe all of those, are commissions. Commissions where the sportsman, the recreationalist, the people of the state are truly represented.
How is the commissioner, I know Missouri has that form of government, how is he chosen?
Well, in some states, it's a selection by virtue of their General Assembly. It seems to me as some of the more successful ones, it's done by constituents, or regional selection, by groups, let's say Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Just a number of different constituents within an area will get together and select those that person that they feel can best represent them and their needs within a certain
Now, let's say
area.
they're upset with him. Can they get rid of him?
Certainly, that's what elections are for. I guess they could go through an impeachment process,
Now,
but I wasn't
if
aware
we go
of
to
it.
the commission structure, do you firmly believe that it will take the political, and you know all about it, there's all kinds of horror stories about different things,
Sure.
you know, about people taking care of their brother-in-law, and you know, they got a name for that. What do they call that?
Nepotism.
Nepotism. Yeah.
Yes.
So they would kind of get rid of that.
Yes, it would.
You know?
And quite frankly, along with the commission, normally comes some funding that is stable, and that is incredibly
Well,
important.
now doesn't Missouri tax everything 1 cent?
1/10 of 1%.
Wait a minute, 1/10
1/10
of 1% of everything.
I believe it's a sales tax.
Well, yeah, well, you know, if you buy a
Yes,
car, if you
yes.
buy a, you know, whatever, you
Yes.
know, but it's only 1/2 of 1%.
1/10 of 1%.
Oh, 1/10, and that's what takes
and that
care
funds their entire operation in Missouri, which includes fishing, hunting, a lot of the recreational
All their
activity.
parks,
Their
everything.
parks. And
of, my goodness, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Thank
But
you.
what do you want to leave as a thought to all the folks out there, what they should do if they would like to see changes?
they should move toward a commission type of government. And also, they should remember that it takes 200 years for an oak tree to mature. And what they're asking the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to do is long term. It's looking into the future. It's trying to make consistent, thoughtful, and intelligent plans
For the future
for
of
the
the-
future
future of the
of the state. And unfortunately, because they are unsure of who's going to be their next boss with political change, who's going to or where their money is coming from, and if they will have the money for funding, it makes it impossible to do. I was very fortunate in working for Governor Edgar and George Ryan. Both of those guys were extremely concerned and cared much about natural resources.
You know, when I was a kid with my dad walking in the bottoms down at Clear Lake, we had a hunting club there, and he would pick up a piece of cracked mud. And I will never forget, I was probably 10 years old, and he said, Tuffy, which was my nickname, he says, Tuffy, he says, see that? That's about 3/8 of an inch of silt.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, in my lifetime and in your lifetime, he says, it's going to get bad. And it has.
It certainly has.
It really has.
And that's the type of planning we need to look at.
That's
Programs like CREP. There are all types of programs that, if wedded together, can
make a big change.
It can make a huge change.
All right.
And
Hey,
we can
thanks,
look at-
Brent.
Thank you,
And
Harry.
hey, we had a good time.
We had a ball. You and Kathy are wonderful hosts, and we wouldn't miss coming and seeing you.
Well, we'll do it again next year.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week. Many guys and gals are cowboys at heart, and everybody likes to shoot at a cowboy rifle. And today we have a few examples of some of those guns. We're going to start first with trapdoor Springfields. This is an officer's model, and it's a current production. Then we have the rifle version, and then we have the cavalry model, which is just identical just about to what Custer had at the Little Bighorn. This is a saddle ring carbine. This is a deluxe rifle. And then Winchester started making them. They're made by Maruku, but they have the Winchester name, octagon barrel, and this is a full-size rifle. If you want something a little bigger, Winchester comes out with limited edition models. This is a Winchester 1886. And if you want to do some long-range cowboy shooting, here's an example of a Sharps rifle. This is made by Shiloh Sharps. It's a 45-110. Probably the most common caliber in a Sharps these days is 45-70. And this particular rifle is a special order. It's got the shotgun butt plate, high-grade wood, factory-installed peep sight, and a extra heavy barrel. I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week. Good shooting.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Pat Sullivan. Fish with Mr. Fish. It's started out at 2 degrees this morning. Harry Canterbury is in the nice warm Florida, while Kenny and I are here at 2 degrees, and we're going to show a little how we prep before we go to ice fishing. We're not ice fishing yet, but we're just going to get ready to go ice fishing. But we always start out with a good meal, and Kenny and I are going to have a healthy scrambled egg with veggies, turkey sausage, just to get us going, and then we can get to work. There we go, Kenny. Hot sandwich on a cold morning, some scrambled eggs with veggies, turkey sausage, whole wheat bread. We're sitting in here today in the old fish room, we call it, and now we're going to start prepping for ice fishing. First of all, you're going to have to dig a hole, and we have a couple of different augers for that. And one I've gotten, I took it off the old crank style that you can get at the store and put it on this drill. The drill has handles. You can get this at most places that sell fishing equipment. It's called a clam drill. And what we do is put it on this stand, and this is an 18-volt DeWalt drill that or 20 max DeWalt drill. And we've got there we go. That'll go through 18 inches, 20 inches, whatever ice you get. Now the next thing I do, I get all my poles out. There's all kinds of poles that you can use, and we have them here. I like this setup. Sits on the ice like this. All right, for those who haven't been ice fishing, we use these type of bobbers, and there's all kinds of things you can use. And here's a good example. This is a nice little 3/32 jig, and what we usually do is tie that jig on, that little hook, but it'll catch a big fish. We tie that on, and then as you can see, the fish starts nibbling on it. You can see that spring barely moving. Good crop of mealworms. Here's the beetles that they start out as. It just takes a little oatmeal. We got some oatmeal in here. Takes a little oatmeal and a potato. Watch this. This is their water. That's what you see. That's what they're doing. They're getting their energy, their moisture, and that takes nothing to raise them. The only other thing I use, this is a ice, we call it an ice scoop. You drill your hole, leaves ice chips. You want to get those out of there, give you a nice clean hole. Don't have to get your hand wet. Just use that. That goes in the bucket. I throw them just in an old bucket. That goes in my sled. A lot of people ask, do you get a tent out there like they show on TV and stuff? Around here, very seldom you need a tent. It's really not that cold, especially when you got a nice sunny sky. Sit on a bucket. This is a nice bucket to get. It's a 6-gallon bucket, and it's got a a little cushion and warmer on the seat. I cut a hole right here, so when we catch fish, you take it off, throw it in your hole. You're not picking up a bunch at the end. You got it already in your bucket. You're ready to go. Other thing I take, safety precautions, my ski rope. If a buddy goes in, I could throw this weight towards them. It's not going to hurt them. It's plastic. We're trying to do everything we can to keep everybody safe. That goes in my sled. This is your first time, go with somebody that's been there. That way they could teach you a lot of the safety and just remind you of the safety. But when we go out, we'll start out with our drill. We'll go out just a couple of feet off edge, drill. If we don't have 4 to 5 inches of good ice, then we don't go. A lot of times you can take a 2x10 out, 10 foot long. You can walk on it, spread your weight a little bit, drill. Or if there's a dock, go on the edge of the dock, drill, check your ice. Check your ice at all times. So I charge my Vexilars up also the night before, double check the batteries. These are very simple. As you can see, when you put this in the water, it'll tell you your depth. It'll show your lure going down, and you can see when fish is even around, but you can see them if they're just playing with it or if they got it. Yeah, they'll go in the bag. That goes in the sled. But I always call my friends that have lakes, how's your ice? I'm gonna call one this morning and check with him. All right, so I'm got a buddy that ice fishes and has lakes. I'm gonna check the ice. Hey, Gary, Pat.
Hey, Pat, what's up?
Just checking the ice. I know it's 2 degrees out this morning, and it's warming up a little bit, but I know we can't go today, but it looks like the ice is gonna start freezing on the lakes. How do they look?
Well, down here in Lake of the Woods, near my house, the ice looks kind of punky with that snow and ice rain that we got.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near thick enough yet, but I think given a couple more days where we don't even approach 32, we ought to be good maybe mid to late week.
Okay, well, we'll let you keep checking for us and just trying to keep it all safe.
I'll keep checking, and in the meantime, you charge up your gear, have your batteries ready and your auger and all that, and maybe later this week we'll go.
So that wraps it up today. Just getting itchy to go out ice fishing. I have a lot of friends that go, and I go. We know our good friend Harry's not on the ice this winter, but we'll check the ice for him. We'll catch the fish, and we'll show him a real fish fry. So hope to catch you out there on the ice.
Adventure Sports Outdoors is brought to you in part by Corsall Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. Eastport Marina, one of the only marinas in its class between Chicago and St. Louis, on Mariners Way in East Peoria. And by Goodwill of Central Illinois, free employment and veteran and youth services made possible because you donate. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.